too often than not, whenever women are referred to as being emotional, they're referring to love and relationships. They always focus on how emotional women are and how they're emotional about being in love and being with their partner. But this focus is mainly on women who are heterosexual. And that's because by default, they're always thinking about heterosexual women and how heterosexual women, they basically are all about their emotions, and they always focus on the emotions. And I think that is not being accurate regarding women and how they operate. Now, when women are discussed in the topic of love and relationships, it could be men discussing women or it can be women discussing women. And they always talk about how women are emotional and how you have to be very emotional when you're dealing with a woman. And if not, then the relationship will be unsuccessful and the woman, she'll cry and her heart will be broken. And all she needs is just the love and affection because she's emotional. And I think that people are doing a huge disservice when they focus on a woman as if she's only one-dimensional, like she's just full of emotions and that's how she interacts or deals with her life, her love and relationships is just being emotional, because it's just not true. And I will say this: heterosexual women are guilty of the propaganda of saying that being emotional and having a relationship with the opposite sex must be all about love and feelings and your heart. And bisexual women are guilty of this too, because they like to make it seem as if, and I'm referring to heterosexual women and bisexual women, they like to make men think that it's all about the emotions, it's all about the feelings and the love. And if that's not there, then there's no relationship. That's very one-sided. And the reason why I believe heterosexual women and bisexual women do this is because they're dealing with men. And men like to view women a certain way. Women are more complicated than just being, oh, I'm all about my emotions and I just want to be loved and I want to love and I want to give love and I want to receive love. And it's all about feelings and loving and being emotional. That's what it's all about. And so that's all you hear. But it's not true. It's not true. And I want to discuss that lesbians, we don't sit up and act like it's all about emotions, because for one, we're women who love women. We're dealing with another woman. We don't deal with men romantically and sexually. So we know how women think. We know how women feel. We know how women operate. So we don't lie to each other, or we don't try to please you or fulfill your fantasy about how you view us. because heterosexual women and bisexual women, they're busy trying to please men, and they want men to think of them in a very positive light. And they always focus on their emotions and whatnot to make men feel comfortable about women. But the truth is, women are sexual beings. We're not one-dimensional. We're multifaceted human beings, and women have a sex drive. Women have a sexuality. Women have a sexual orientation. And so I don't believe in faking who I am to please another person. And I believe this is why a lot of heterosexual women and even bisexual women, when in their love and relationships and dealing with men, they're not fulfilled. Because if they told a man the truth, that man would judge them very harshly. But being a lesbian, I don't have that problem because I don't deal with men. And every woman that I've dealt with, and just being a lesbian and knowing other lesbians, we don't beat around the bush. We're very upfront with each other. We know what we want. And yes, we are emotional. Yes, we love to have affection and feelings and being loving. That's very true about being a good woman. But we also have a sexuality. We also have sexual attraction, sexual interest, and sexual desires. And we also have sexual relationships. Lesbians, when they're involved with lesbians, our love is multifaceted. It's not just about how we feel and our emotions only, because we're more than just our emotions. We also have a mind. And today, the title of my video is Lesbian Love is Emotional and Sexual. I am Giselle Wallace, lesbian life coach and author. Here on my YouTube channel, I provide my lesbian perspective. And if that interests you, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Lesbian love is emotional and sexual. But even deeper than that, it's mental and it is also spiritual. What I love about being a lesbian is that I have the ability to exclusively be emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and sexually attracted to women only. Lesbian love is very deep. It's very pure. It's multifaceted. And I would be lying if I said being a lesbian and being with a woman in a loving lesbian relationship is only emotional. Because you don't want to rely solely on your emotions, not just in love and relationships, but in every facet of life. Because you have to use your mind and you have to use logic, reasoning. And yes, when you do this, emotions will follow. But emotions are there because they are a natural response to stimuli. Whatever is happening, you have an emotional response to it. There's various emotions that you can feel, and it is your choice if you want to express those emotions. See, some people choose to express their emotions and some people choose not to. But also, people don't always focus on the fact that your emotions follow your thoughts. You don't just start having emotions without having a thought. Everything begins with a thought. And a thought can come from the physical world, or it can come from the spiritual world. And the emotions that you have follow your thought. And the emotion that you have does not always have to be expressed, but it is always felt. So women are always feeling their emotions. And in many cases, women express their emotions, but not all the time. But when you do express your emotions, depending on what kind of situation you are in or what kind of emotion you are expressing and who you're expressing those emotions to, will affect you and maybe someone else. And so that's why you have to be a well-rounded person. You have to be logical, and you have to be reasonable and responsible when dealing with your emotions. And that's why you don't need to lead with your emotions, because also your emotions are not necessarily felt or expressed from reality. Sometimes your emotions are based on perception, meaning how you personally perceive a thought or whatever is a catalyst to the thought. You perceive it based on your own perception, but it does not mean that your perception is reality or true. So you have to be able to be also a person who is able to deal with reality. And that's why women who are mature, responsible, they don't lead with their emotions only. There's a lot of decisions that you make within yourself when it comes to your thoughts and your emotions. And you have to take responsibility for your thoughts and your emotions, especially when you are in a relationship as a woman with another woman. And this makes you a very attractive woman when you are a well-rounded woman who is able to be grounded, and you're also responsible and mature about how you handle your thoughts and your emotions. Because when you are in a relationship with another person, you're taking on more responsibility in life. Being by yourself, you're only responsible for yourself. But when you agree to being in a relationship with a whole nother woman, you are taking on the responsibility of another woman's life. So being in a relationship is very serious. It's not about passing time. It's not about releasing the stress. It's not even about being selfish when you are with another person, because the way you treat a person will also determine your relationship status. And what I mean by that is, if you treat a person well, or if you treat a person horribly, it's a reflection of you. So it always goes back to you, not the other person, because the other person is a choice. You choose whether or not that person is in your life. But that other person is a whole nother human being, and they can choose whether or not they want to be with you. So you have to be a person who is not selfish in order to be in a healthy relationship. And when you are a lesbian and you are in love with another woman, and you both are in a mutual consensual relationship together, you're in a lesbian relationship together, and you are being proactive and active in your relationship with each other. You are choosing to love someone. But the love that you share, the emotions that you feel, the emotions that you express, that is not what drives the relationship only. You also have a sex drive. Your sexual desires, your sexual nature as a lesbian also drives the relationship. I mean, think about it. Being a lesbian means that you are exclusively attracted to women emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and sexually. You can't only pick and choose certain aspects of your sexual orientation. It's all there. It is inclusive of your sexual orientation. And you're going to express your sexual desire to your female partner. A big issue I have with a lot of women who identify as heterosexual and even bisexual, because they are male centered and they focus on men and pleasing men, if they don't have the confidence and the self-love that they need while dealing with men, they will always hide who they truly are. They'll hide their sexual nature as a woman because they don't want a man to think that she's promiscuous, or they don't want a man to feel insecure about his manhood because she has had sexual experience with another man prior to the man that she is with. But that just proves that there are men who really just can't handle a woman, because a woman is not a robot. But yet men at the same time desire to have sex with women, and they expect a woman to love them as well. But when she shows that she has sexual desire and or she has sexual fantasies, and this actually shocks the man, and he thinks that she's done this with other men, or he doesn't feel like she should be wanting to do certain sexual positions or have certain sexual fantasies. Well, this offends that man, and he begins to insult her. But that is a very immature man. Unfortunately, there are women who deal with those type of men, whom I call males. Because just because a woman has sexual fantasies, just because the woman has had sexual experiences, it does not mean that she is a promiscuous woman. You see, every man thinks that a woman should be pure. Many men want a virgin, or shall I say most men want a virgin, but that's not reality. But while men think that women are emotional, men can be very much so lead with their emotions instead of their logic and their reasoning. Because the truth is, the reality is, women don't always do what you want them to do. Women are not always the way you think they should be, because they're women. They're human beings, and their desires, their interests, their fantasies belong to them. And who are you to judge them for it? If a woman is not harming anyone, if she's not disrespecting anyone, then why are you so angry with the fact that a woman has had sexual experiences prior to you? A woman could have been married before. So of course she has sexual experience. A woman could have been in a long-term relationship with a boyfriend or fiance, and she may have sexual experience. A woman may be interested in being involved with one specific person sexually over time. So she's going to have sexual experience. But that is her choice. And it does not mean she's promiscuous. It does not mean that she's unfaithful, or it doesn't mean that she's for the streets. But heterosexual women and bisexual women, they're in a very awkward, uneasy space because they deal with men, and most men can't handle the truth. And so women will put on these masks to make them seem like they're so innocent, when really they were not dirty. They weren't doing anything wrong. But because they know men judge them so harshly, if they talk about a past relationship, if they talk about a past sexual position that they've been involved in, that man will look down on her. So it's best not to even discuss your past with a man, because he thinks that you're supposed to pretty much be a saint. But yet he does all of the dirt that he wants to do, and he expects you to just deal with it and to view him as a man. But the woman is not judging you. In most cases, 9 times out of 10, she's not even judging you and thinking that, oh, you're promiscuous, oh, you're unfaithful. She's just trying to get to know you as a human being, as a person. But that man is not trying to get to know that woman as a human being, as a person. He wants to know how many sexual partners she has. He wants to know how many sexual positions that she's had. He wants to know what are her fantasies. And mind you, this is not even his wife, but he wants to juice her with all this information. And if the woman falls for the trick, then she'll tell everything. And this man will use her up sexually and then leave her. But see, having a sexuality, having sexual desires is what women have. It's a part of a woman. It's not dirty. It's not disgusting. It doesn't mean she's promiscuous. It doesn't mean that she's not a good woman. And that's why when lesbians are involved with lesbians, we already know lesbian nature. We know how we are, and we don't look down on each other. Now, this doesn't mean that we'll get with any woman and we'll get a woman who is promiscuous, because there is a such thing as being promiscuous. There is someone who does not have self-love. They don't have self-care. They don't take care of their health. They don't take care of their sexual health. There are people who exist like that. I'm not talking about those type of women. I'm talking about women who actually have been in previous relationships. Yes, we expect that, and we don't judge women for that. And so knowing that you can speak to someone and conversate with someone about your desires with your existing partner. I'm not talking about your past. And see, that's the issue with men. They like to focus on a woman's past. And they do that because they call themselves protecting themselves. But no, you're not protecting yourself. What you're doing is you're trying to set that woman up for failure, because all you're going to do is sleep with her and use her up sexually and discard her. And a man is wrong. When he does that, he's wrong. When you are in a relationship with someone, when you are dating them, you're getting to know them, people always tell on themselves anyway. So why do you have to do an interrogation? How many people have you slept with? When was the last time you slept with someone? How many sexual positions have you been? What do you fantasize about? Do you want to have sex with me right now? Would you have sex with me over here? Like, that's an interrogation. That's not getting to know someone. You will find out the truth eventually. A person who interrogates another person is usually the insecure, guilty person. They're the person who's around, sleeping around. They're the ones that's promiscuous. So if a woman is dealing with a person who's interrogating her, she needs to run, because that person is guilty of every question that they are asking you. So I don't like when women fake and pretend like they're these angels and these saints and that they don't have a sex drive, and they say things like, oh, it's all about my emotions. I just want to love. I just want to care. It's not about sex. I don't care about sex. I don't need sex like that. Unless you are an asexual woman, you're pretty much faking, you're masking, you're not being your true self. And that's why a lot of heterosexual and bisexual women have horrible relationships. Lesbian relationships, we come in sharing our deepest thoughts, expressing ourselves once we get really familiar with the woman. And the sexual desire is very automatic. If they choose to have a sexual relationship with each other, then that's their choice. But to interrogate a person, to judge a person, to insult a person, to use a person up sexually, and then just leave them, well, it's clear that you are not ready for love. And you shouldn't be having sex with anyone. You need to be single. You need to be celibate, abstinent, and get yourself together. But lesbian love is emotional and sexual. And you can't separate the emotions, and you can't separate the sexual desires. Because when you do, well, you're denying your true sexual nature. You're desiring to be with someone sexually, but you're in denial about it. You have to face the truth. You have to be yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to embrace your sexual orientation. And you can't allow someone else from the outside to tell you how you should be. Own who you are. Own your sexual orientation. Own your sexuality. Own your emotions. And remember that lesbian love is emotional and sexual, because it is. I am Giselle Wallace, lesbian life coach and author. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like and share the video. Thank you for listening.